In the vast expanse of eternity before time as we know it began, a question looms large: why? Why would an all-knowing, all-powerful God allow Lucifer, who became Satan, and a third of the heavenly angels to rebel? Why would he permit such a rebellion to unfold? And why, after such a grievous act, would he not simply destroy Satan and the rebellious angels, sparing the world from untold pain and suffering? These are not just questions of theology, but the very mysteries that shape our understanding of good, evil, and divine purpose. In today's Bible study video, we will journey deep into these profound questions. We will start by answering the question, why did God create an angel he knew would rebel? Then answer, why did he allow this rebellion to happen? Then finish with why, after such a betrayal, did he not immediately destroy the one who became Satan? The answers may challenge what you thought you knew, but they are essential to grasping the bigger picture. Stay with us as we uncover the divine reasoning behind these eternal mysteries. But let's start by understanding who Lucifer was and what caused the rebellion. When God created the world and everything in it, he created the angels. Acts 17:24, Psalm 104:4. These spiritual beings have unique roles and characteristics, but they share a common purpose to worship God and minister to his people. So, to answer the first question, why did God create an angel he knew would rebel? The answer is simple. Lucifer was one of God's angels, a magnificent being. The prophet Ezekiel described him as the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Every precious stone was his covering. He was the anointed cherub who covers. He was perfect in his ways from the day he was created. Ezekiel 28:12-15. Lucifer was fully arrayed by the Creator to reflect his glory. This dazzling angel walked in the Garden of Eden and had direct access to God until one day, when everything changed after mankind came into the picture. He started forming a desire to be worshipped and served like God. He began to see God as standing in the way of what he believed should be his. Consumed by pride and ego, he eventually decided to rebel and sought to lead humanity into rebellion with him. This desire to be worshipped remains his primary agenda. Thousands of years later, when he was tempting Jesus in the desert, he offered him all the kingdoms of the world if Jesus would worship him. Over time, Lucifer persuaded a third of the angels to join his side, all driven by the same desires for power and self-glory. He started a war in heaven, but was defeated, for he was not strong enough. His second main goal, besides being worshipped, is to take everyone down with him. Eventually he will be bound in the abyss and then destroyed along with his demons. Knowing that his fate is sealed, he's filled with rage and seeks to drag all of mankind down with him when he faces judgment. Now let's look at the next question. Why did he allow this rebellion to happen? To answer this question, we must understand that God values free will above all. God doesn't want angels or people to worship him because they are forced to out of fear. This has always been the case. Lucifer was free to choose whether to worship God or to rebel. God doesn't want robots serving or worshipping him either. He desires that people choose between what is right and what is wrong. He wants people to worship him out of love and their own loyalty by choice. But God not only extended this gift of free will to mankind, but also to his angelic family, including Lucifer. When God created humankind and extended the gift of free will and freedom of choice, Lucifer argued that the holy congregation didn't need a law to be like God. He sought to change the divine government, claiming that if God truly allowed his creatures to have free will and freedom, then it wasn't necessary to abide by God's holy law. Therefore, his first transgression was coveting the throne of God. In his essence, God is holy, just, and loving. Nothing that opposes these characteristics can continue to live, as God's Spirit, which is the source of life, embodies these transcendent qualities. 1 Corinthians 6:14. This is why the wages of sin is death. Romans 6:23. Lucifer introduced death into creation. He continued to rebel against God and harshly criticize his character. The driving force behind Lucifer's rebellion was pride. Though made perfect and beautiful, it got to his head. Ezekiel 28:17. He also deceived a third of the holy congregation to question God's law. As a result, Lucifer was cast out of heaven with his fellow conspirators, and his name and title were stripped from him, making him Satan. The holy congregation was divided into rival factions. The next question arises, why didn't God immediately put an end to the rebellion? Whenever a controversy arises, there must be a third party or witness. In this heavenly controversy, the parties were God and his angels on one side, and Lucifer and his angels on the other. To demonstrate fairness and justice, God could not immediately pass judgment. If he, standing on one side of the argument, also acted as the judge, it would have seemingly proven Lucifer's argument correct. It would have made God appear unfair. So God is, in a sense, on trial, proving that his character and will are good and that a holy law is required. Satan, on the other hand, seeks to distort the character of God, and what better way to do it than by attacking humanity? a race made in his image. The narrative of Lucifer's rebellion against God teaches us several profound lessons. God's decision to grant free will to his creations, both angels and humans, emphasizes the value he places on voluntary love and obedience. True love and devotion cannot be coerced, they must be chosen freely, highlighting the significance of personal responsibility and the consequences that come with our choices. Lucifer's downfall began with pride, a desire to elevate himself above his rightful place. This serves as a warning about the perils of pride and ambition when unchecked by humility. Pride can lead to rebellion against divine order and result in severe consequences. The story also illustrates that evil is not something God created, but a perversion of good. Lucifer was created perfect, but his desire for power and self-glory led him to rebel. This reminds us that evil often begins with the distortion of something inherently good, and we must remain vigilant to guard against such corruption. God's decision not to immediately destroy Lucifer and the rebellious angels demonstrates his commitment to justice and fairness. It reveals that God is patient, allowing time for his creatures to understand the full implications of their actions. This patience reflects God's desire for all to come to repentance rather than face destruction. 2 Peter 3:9. The suffering and pain resulting from Lucifer's rebellion highlight the far-reaching consequences of sin. Rebellion against divine order brings chaos and destruction, not only to the individual but to all of creation. It serves as a sober reminder of the cost of turning away from God's will. The fact that God allowed the rebellion to unfold without immediate judgment encourages faith in his ultimate plan. While evil may have its moment, God's justice and goodness will prevail in the end. This calls for trusting God's wisdom, even when we don't fully understand his ways. Implicit in the narrative is the ongoing battle between good and evil, with the ultimate promise of redemption. Despite the presence of evil, God's plan for salvation through Jesus Christ offers hope and a path to restoration for humanity. These lessons remind us of the importance of humility, the necessity of making righteous choices, and the assurance that God's justice and mercy will ultimately triumph.